What's up guys, I'm Coach Donny from Elevate Yourself, and I'm a volleyball coach and player who creates inspirational, educational, and fun volleyball content. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to jump serve by breaking down the fundamental technique of the toss, footwork, timing, and serving power. I made a jump serve tutorial 8 years ago that has almost 3 million views. And I wanted to make a new version with updated knowledge because I'm always learning new things as a player and a coach and finding better ways to coach athletes. If you want to see more educational, inspirational, and fun volleyball content, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. You can also enjoy members-only perks such as early access to all my videos, behind-the-scenes content, private blog posts, and more by joining our channel membership community linked below. First, let's understand the pros and cons of jump serving compared to a standing serve or jump float serve. The pros of a jump serve include the highest velocity serve, which gives the opponent the least amount of time to react, statistically higher chance of acing the opponent or putting the team out of system by overpowering them. It's a great way to reinforce spiking mechanics since the jump serve technique is very similar to spiking, and it is more intimidating when you have a powerful server on the line. The cons of a jump serve include a statistically higher error ratio compared to a standing or jump float serve. If you don't serve at a high enough velocity, it will become easier to pass due to the predictable topspin trajectory of the ball, similar to passing a down ball, and inconsistent serving location. Before you try jump serving, make sure that you can consistently execute proper spiking footwork and arm swing technique first. And you can review both of those tutorial videos that I made linked below. If you cannot consistently spike with good technique, jump serving will only create bad habits and become a frustrating learning process. Now, let's learn the most common version of the jump serve in 6 simple steps. Present the ball in front of your hitting shoulder. Toss the ball up and forward with your hitting hand while stepping forward with the same leg. Perform a 3-step approach like you would for a spike. Jump forward a few feet past the baseline in an open attack position. Spike the ball forward just above the height of the net. Land with control in a squat position for safety. Next, we'll break down each element of the jump serve, starting with the toss, footwork, timing, ball contact, and ball trajectory. The toss is the most important aspect of a jump serve because it determines your consistency and power. You can toss in 3 ways. With your hitting hand, where you toss with the same arm that you're serving with. With your offhand, where you're tossing with the opposite arm that you're serving with. With 2 hands. The benefit of tossing with one hand is you can generally toss it higher more easily, and flicking your wrist helps provide additional topspin with your serve. The benefit of tossing with 2 hands is you generally have more control. I recommend experimenting with all 3 different tossing styles to see which one feels more natural and allows you to have the best control and rhythm with your hitting approach, which we'll discuss later in more detail. Most athletes tend to toss with their hitting hand, which is what I personally do. But regardless of how you toss, make sure that you toss the ball in line with your hitting shoulder, which is why I recommend presenting the ball in front of your hitting shoulder first to remind you where to toss. You will immediately solve many jump serving mistakes with this technique because tossing to the left or right of your hitting shoulder will often cause you to hit out or into the net in those 2 directions. Once you establish a comfortable tossing hand style, the next step is to experiment with 3 different types of timing. Toss then step, toss and step, step then toss. Tossing first and then stepping requires you to toss much higher and wait before you start your first step. This is the most powerful version of the jump topspin serve since you have a lot more downward velocity due to gravity from the super high toss, but you have to toss and step at different times, which can be difficult to manage that rhythm And because the ball is falling a lot faster, it's more difficult to actually consistently contact the ball and serve it to a consistent location. So this serve is much more about hitting your hardest serve possible, and a lot less about location or consistency. Tossing and stepping requires you to step and toss at the same time, which helps you get into rhythm right away because you're not separating those two actions, and that's also probably why it's the most popular version of the jump serve. The toss is still generally high enough to generate enough power, but low enough to where it's easier to control the toss itself and have a more consistent timing and serving location. But there still is some risk with this tossing style. Stepping first, then tossing requires the lowest height toss, which does limit your power compared to the previous two styles, but it does produce the most consistent toss and serving location, which ultimately leads to fewer errors. Another reason why some servers prefer this style is because you can be more deceptive with changing up the serve from topspin, hybrid, or float. So this serve is great for targeting a specific location or having a more change-up style of serving. It's normal to change your jump serving style over the course of your volleyball career. I first started with a two-hand toss because it felt the closest to my spiking motion, and I only used a three-step approach. Then in college, I developed a one-hand toss to toss it higher because I felt like I needed to hit the ball harder, but still felt more comfortable with a three-step approach. And after college, I kept the one-hand toss, but tossed it even higher and incorporated a four-step approach to generate even more power through my hitting approach. If you want to jump higher and hit harder for your jump serve, spiking, and blocking, then use my jump training programs to increase your vertical jump that include a 12-week bodyweight program so you can train at home with no equipment, a 4-week starter program if you're new to weight training and plyometrics, and a 12-month elevation template for long-term progress and serious gains that require standard gym equipment and comes with a mobile training app. Use my discount code and link below to get 5% off all my jump training programs and start jumping higher today. Next, we'll talk about footwork. It's very similar to your spiking footwork, except you're broad jumping, also known as jumping forward. If you do a 4-step approach, then your first step is a short walking step, second step is a medium length step, third step is a long stride, fourth step is a short step. If you do a 3-step approach, then your first step is a medium length step, second step is a long stride, third step is a short step. Regardless of how many steps you take, make sure you turn your penultimate step, or second to last step, at least 45 degrees toward your hitting shoulder, and your last step between 45 to 90 degrees to help you jump up in an open position to load your hips and shoulders for rotational power as you hit the ball. So, how far should you broad jump? In general, the further you broad jump, the more body weight power you can put into the ball, and the less time you give the receiver to react to your serve because you're shortening the distance from where you contact it to where they receive it. However, the greater the broad jump, the lower the vertical reach becomes. Every athlete has to find the right balance between how far up and forward they need to jump to maximize their reach and power. I recommend starting with broad jumping 1 foot in front of the baseline and continue broad jumping more and more little by little until you start to consistently hit into the net. Then bring back the broad jump slightly little by little until you can consistently serve over the net with a controlled broad jump. Most importantly, make sure you can still control your landings without injuring yourself. Now we'll talk about where to contact the ball. Your jump serve arm swing should be very similar to your spiking arm swing, where you're still trying to contact the ball as high as possible slightly in front of your hitting shoulder, except the main difference is where you actually contact the ball and where you'll be aiming for your jump serve. Keep your hand relaxed and open so you can take the shape of the ball and maximize your arm speed, control, and top spin. If your hand is too stiff, it will have an uncontrollable float effect and less top spin. Most of the ball should be felt just below the base of your middle finger, so focus most of your contact there. I like to think of the ball as the earth with the equator as my point of reference for the center line of the ball. If you have a lower vertical jump and reach, then contact the ball below the equator so the ball can go up first and then over the net. If you have an average vertical jump and reach, then contact the ball at the equator so the ball can be driven forward over the net. If you have an above average vertical jump and reach, then contact the ball slightly above the equator so you can have a more downward trajectory while still driving the ball forward. Are you looking for new volleyball shoes, balls, backpacks, jerseys, and knee pads? Then make sure you shop at my favorite volleyball store, All Volleyball, which has the widest selection of volleyball gear and equipment and amazing customer service. Use my discount code and link below to get 10% off your entire order and free shipping for orders over $100. So get your new volleyball gear today so you can look super fly on the court. Lastly, we'll talk about where to aim the ball so it will have the highest chance of landing in the court with maximum power. Don't focus on aiming into the court because there's obviously a net in the way. Instead, focus on aiming the ball at the height of the first red or second white section of the antenna. If you aim through this plane, the ball will usually land in because gravity and topspin will drive the ball down. Make sure you keep your arm and hand relaxed so you can swing with maximum velocity and control, and follow through in the direction that you want the ball to go. A well-executed jump serve should not feel strained or painful. Instead, it should feel like a perfectly timed flow of energy, which is why it's important to understand where your jump serving power should come from. The height of the toss, which adds extra ball velocity, the momentum from your approach, specifically the backswing during the penultimate step, your foot position before you jump to open up your hips and shoulders, the body weight transfer of power through the broad jump, and the very last point of power is your arm swing. If you feel strained during your jump serve, then you're probably focusing too much on the arm swing aspect and not enough on the previous steps leading up to the arm swing. Let's watch some great jump serving examples that demonstrate the variety of different tossing styles, footwork, and timing. Stay tuned for part 2 of learning how to jump serve, where I discuss the best drills that you can practice to make your jump serve more consistent and more powerful. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite jump serving style is and why.